If you're a fan of both movies and unique art, I've got a very special gift for you or your loved ones this holiday season you can check out. It's called Movie Palette. Here's how it works. Movie Palette creates these artistic canvases out of the color palettes from the various scenes of your favorite movies. For example, my favorite movie is Pulp Fiction. So I received the Pulp Fiction movie palette, which has the colors of the various scenes in the film. It's almost like taking the entire movie and compressing it into one piece of art. Very unique and very special. If you use the code GEEKDOM15 at checkout, you get a 15% discount on everything at Movie Palette. So check them out, moviepalette.com. So a few days ago, I gave my thoughts on the story that had come out about James Gunn and Henry Cavill not agreeing to terms for the future of the DCEU, and Henry Cavill's somewhat emotional sounding Instagram post where he is unfortunately sort of giving up the role of Superman going forward. Now, a few days after that, there were people that I saw on social media who were discussing the fact that Dwayne Johnson had unfollowed the DC and Black Adam Twitter accounts. Now, that to me sounds a little weird because that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but in some ways it does. Because why would an account as big as The Rock's unfollow somebody, especially a project like Black Adam, which he had wanted to work on for years? Let's not forget that before there even was a DCEU, The Rock had wanted to play Black Adam. So now we're getting word from IGN, who I don't really trust, but I do trust them in this instance because others have reported on this as well, that The Rock have confirmed that James Gunn currently has no plans for Black Adam in the DCU. So this, of course, goes back to the conversation I had a few days ago with you guys where I discussed the fact that this is getting weirder and weirder by the day, meaning that I felt it was really strange that the Henry Cavill thing fell apart the way it did. You know, there's been talk that James Gunn wants to have a younger Superman, and I'm sure at some point he'll comment on this himself and sort of give us the 411 on what his mentality was. But this is weird because the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene of Black Adam teased a confrontation between the Black Adam and Superman characters teased for a future film. Now, whether or not we ever even got that fight, we may not have ever gotten it. It may have been a thing where they were going to be in a film together, maybe in Man of Steel 2 or something where perhaps we were going to see Black Adam in a Justice League film. There's a lot of ways they could have gone with it. Instead, now they're just dropping everything. So that really makes me wonder, and I mean this in all, at first I didn't think they were going to do this, but now I'm really wondering if they're just going to go for a straight up reboot. I wonder if they're just going to go in there and just completely reboot the entire DCU from scratch and start over again. We know that James Gunn has commented that he is interested in bringing in Ben Affleck, but not to play the elder Bruce Wayne, however, instead to direct. And that's a good move too, because Ben Affleck's a very talented filmmaker. However, it's a shame that we're not going to get to see a real payoff to that Batman character. And if you remember, here on the World of Geekdom channel, I gave you guys in-depth and deep spoilers on the Flash film. And a lot of what they shot for that movie is going to have to be thrown away now because it builds up more of a multiversal thing. And it also builds up the return of Michael Keaton. And he was supposed to play old Bruce Wayne in a Batman Beyond film. But now they're saying that that's probably been canceled too. So it sounds like James Gunn probably looked at everything and said, okay, this has too much damage done to it, and went full out scorched earth. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like to me that this dude, and again, I could be wrong. I'm not reporting this some kind of inside information. I'm not giving you all like a scoop here. I'm just speculating that maybe he just saw everything and just said, this has really started off, with a bad direction. And then with the Snyder controversy with his daughter, that wound up changing things. And then Warner Brothers getting involved and there being different filmmakers. As of right now, the Flash film and the Aquaman 2 film, I believe, are done shooting. Well, the Flash film is pretty much done. Aquaman's done too. So these movies are supposed to come out next year. And if they're not going to continue with this current direction, where else are they going to go except do a complete reboot? Unless they're just going to keep Gal Gadot and keep, you know, like a few of the actors they have left. You know what I mean? Jason Momoa might stay, he might not stay. I mean, I don't know. But we know that Gal Gadot has a scene in Shazam 2, which is also coming out 2023. So what's the deal with this? What is really going to happen here? Is he just going to scorch everything and start over? Will they have some kind of storyline with Flashpoint that will reboot the DCEU and keep the other things, you know, still with a straight continuity, just split off? And will he split it off and then later on, a few years down the road, bring back Henry Cavill and Dwayne Johnson and Ben Affleck to reprise their characters for a big Crisis on Infinite Earth type of film, like what Marvel's doing with Secret Wars? Because Secret Wars has... Marvel's going to beat him to the punch. Because Marvel does that. Kevin Feige's leadership, even though Phase 4 was a mess, still better than DC's. Right? Throughout, historically, right? But even if they do it late, even if Crisis on Infinite Earths ends up being a... I don't want to say a copy, because that's not really the idea is not really a copy of what Secret Wars is, but if it ends up being sort of a multiversal amalgamation time capsule film where everything comes back together again, I think they should still do it just out of respect for these actors, out of respect for Dwayne Johnson, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and out of respect for the fans. Because I feel like at least if they do that, even if it's their last time performing the characters, at least it'll be a thing where at least it'll be sort of like an acknowledgement of the fans who stuck around and who paid to see these movies and who have respect for these actors and who will feel satisfied when all is said and done. You know, I mean, Viola Davis is Biggie's mom. Viola Davis, who plays, who's also in Black Adam and the Suicide Squad, she's probably gonna stay around because she was in James Gunn's movie. I would assume John Cena will be the Peacemaker, but now if they're branching off to other timelines or just changing things, like, is the Batman they talked about in Peacemaker not the Ben Affleck Batman? Things are gonna get confusing. So doing a total scorched earth sounds like it would make sense, but is James Gunn going to include what he's already done, which is Suicide Squad and Peacemaker? Egos in this industry make me think that's probably not going to happen, and that he's going to keep that continuity going and just erase everybody else's, which is going to piss off a lot of people. I'm not 100% against James Gunn, like some DC fans have turned into. I said from the beginning he is a great storyteller, and I do trust him to write a good Superman movie, but I also feel like him making these changes are just really, really, like, as a fan, it's rather frustrating, you know, because like I mentioned last time I did a video on this type of thing, dude, you are dick teasing us with the Snyder Cut and other things they've teased and aren't ever going to pay off. I mean, what happened to that damn, like, what happened to the like all the things they've teased? You know, I'm only bringing up this Darkseid stuff, but Darkseid was also kind of teasing the theatrical Justice League, among other things. What about Lex Luthor? Like, is Jesse Eisenberg still going to play him? Are they going to recast him? Like, there's a lot of questions now going forward, and I don't know. I mean, it's just weird that you're not going to try and capitalize on the popularity. Yeah, Black Adam didn't do as well as Black Panther, but Black Panther, man, that was a big deal. I wasn't expecting it to, even with The Rock attached. But now The Rock is out, so is it a thing? Was it a power thing where maybe Dwayne wanted to get, like, the inmates to run the asylum, and James Gunn was like, no, like, who knows? People are going to have their assumptions. Every fan's going to have a theory that's probably completely not what happened. But as a fan of DC, it's kind of a bummer. So I do hope that at some point we get some kind of clarity from James Gunn about why he's making these decisions, at the very least, because he's coming in to take over, and I think the fans are owed an explanation. Maybe it'll make sense when he says something.